Oh, hello, and welcome to Ardente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist, and you're not my regular guest host. Well, one of you might be.
I mean, honestly, if you were making a lot of money off this, I would feel like you should probably provide me with some kind of tax form. I've been on so much. Hey, it's Adam.
Returning for the third time. Well, returning for the third time in a row. Let's be honest. Yeah.
So, yeah, and wait.
Yeah, where's that other guy in the shadows?
It's the weeb coming off of me. Hi, my name's Ian. First time being on here, and yeah, I'm really excited because I actually really wanted to be on here a while ago.
Yeah. What's the term? It's like
long-time listener, first.
Yeah, long-time listener. It's like first time host, long-time conversationalist with me when we're not recording.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I've been in the shadows.
Yeah. And we're here to discuss those internet stories most creepy and most pasta, or we would if one existed for the topic of today, which is Kuchisake-Onna.
Kuchisake-Onna.
Yep. Or what is it in? What's that translate? Just
slit-mouthed woman.
Yeah.
Yes, slit-mouthed woman.
Because it's a Japanese urban legend and folkloric creature on par kind of with the Hachishaku-sama, which we did, I think, last year a hot minute ago.
Time doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, especially nowadays. And unlike Hachishaku-sama, which had a creepypasta, I could not find anything any kind of creepypasta for us to kind of jump off of for Kuchisake-Onna. So I figured we should do kind of a monster, kind of take an old dusty idea from our podcast and do a monster stocks sort of episode where we discuss and highlight a monster that really should get a creepypasta or maybe even some tabletop horror scenario for it, because we're all like, on top of talking about creepypastas, we're all three of us are tabletop RPG nerds and have podcasts of RPGs.
And we also do animes.
Yes, also animes. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna be covering Kuchisake-Onna. Let's I guess get into the first thing, which probably is the so yeah, there's no creepypastas for this creature. However, there is like a simple encounter story that you can find everywhere online when you look it up. And I think Adam is going to quickly do the a rundown of that.
Okay, and before I actually jump into that, right, basically when we're talking about the slit-mouthed woman, let's just go ahead and hit the big points here. It's obviously folklore, urban legend kind of deal. She's described as a malicious spirit, or an oni, of a woman. She partially covers her face with a mask or other item and carries some sort of sharp object. She has been described as a contemporary yokai, which that's the first time I've always heard that word, but I've never said it. So, and basically, here's the urban legend to it. She asks potential victims if they think she is beautiful. If they respond with no, she will kill them with her long scissors. So we have identified, I'm looking from a Wikipedia article, her weapon. If they say yes, she will reveal the corners of her mouth that are slit from ear to ear. And she will repeat her question. If the individual responds no, she will kill them with her weapon. If they say yes, she will cut the corners of their mouth in such a way that it resembles her own disfigurement. Methods can be used to survive this encounter with Kuchisake-Onna, including answering her question by describing her appearance as average or by distracting her with money or hard candies. So that's what we're dealing with. Now, we are looking at a Google Doc, and it's about maybe 6 paragraphs in its entirety. So we've got a lot of room to work with. So that's our basic premise. And it looks like we're going to move on to the legend and its variations. Again?
So according to legend, Kuchisake-Onna used to be a woman who was mutilated during her life, with her mouth being slit open from ear to ear. This story usually sometimes differentiates between her being an adulterous wife or a concubine to having a jealous samurai husband during her life. Either her husband is sometimes displayed as drunken or paranoid about her beauty, so he slits her from ear to ear, or she did commit infidelity, and she was thus punished for it. However, in uh, various other and in actuality, her legend is very similar to another legend in Japan, Yatsuya Kaiden. In fact, it's practically identical, involving a beautiful woman and a samurai husband disfiguring her so that she is no longer beautiful, and the ghost coming back for vengeance. So here's the thing. Kuchisake-Onna is basically a mismatch of different legends of Japan. She is very similar in Yatsuya Kaiden, which, by the way, listeners, is one of the most legendary, arguably the famous Japanese ghost story ever. So if you get a chance, definitely go listen to it. It's very good. But it also takes various other legends from other folklore that is most likely more of a modern twist to her. I could keep going if you want me to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, before, sorry, I did say yes, and then I immediately wait, hang on.
I have a lot of her history written down, so I apologize.
That's perfect. Honestly, I need, because I basically, for this episode, I wanted you to come on here and talk about the history of it, because this article, this wiki article, is a good stepping stone, but it sounded like there was a lot more to it from what we've talked about off recording. So, one thing I do want to point out, though, so with the hard candy, throwing money or hard candy down to distract her, or saying that she's average, I remember coming across Kuchisake-Onna, the story, not the spirit,
Right.
during college. And hearing that that another thing you could do to kind of confuse her or distract her is to just shout out nonsense words or something like that to confuse her and then run.
So I actually wanted to get to that. I was going to get to that in a bit. I had a whole thing. So what a big thing with Kuchisake-Onna is so let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
Kuchisake-Onna used to be possible sightings of her back into the 17th up to the 19th century Japan. Most likely variations brought on by various ghost stories. Considering Yatsuya Kaiden was at least recorded, written in 1825, her story most likely changed. However, she was really brought back in the modern age in 1979, thanks to written reports in Japanese papers and magazines, specifically Shukan Shinsho, which is one of the most influential weekly magazines in the country. So when one of those magazines ends up starting publishing about her story, it spread like wildfire. Specifically, it influenced enough people, considering that so her legend specifically isn't just about killing people, it's also kidnapping children. She would specifically target children at first, at least the more modern day legends, because children are easy to frighten.
Everybody needs a boogeyman.
Yeah. But here's the thing. So kids started traveling in groups because of the fact that it was such an influential magazine. Kids started to travel in groups, believing that Kuchisake-Onna or some woman was out kidnapping children. And I think I know why this happened. Because in the 1970s, from 1977 to 1983, North Korea was kidnapping people off the streets of Japan. Which could, and most people believed it was a conspiracy theory. So people could have actually taken that and transformed it into Kuchisake-Onna, or put it into her legend.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Because I have heard like again, there's a bit of a a seedy bit of a or like underworld sort of like situation between like North Korea and Japan,
It's kind
like
of like the whole
smuggling,
world.
like usually like
Yeah.
drugs and smuggling and stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a whole thing, but we're not here to talk about North Korea kidnapping
yeah,
Japanese. But that could have easily influenced that. So you have this where she's So a noted ability about Kuchisake-Onna going into the actual legend is that most of the time she appears in an alleyway, or she appears in a narrow street or an alleyway. She's always has a mask on. It's usually a surgical mask. She appears as a very beautiful woman with long hair, trench coat, and as Adam said, she usually has a pair of long scissors. However, sometimes she's noted to be having a knife or a blade or a sword or something. Um, she will ask the questions and whatever. And yes, there are certain ways to defeat her, not just the card candies, but as you said, apparently there's some legends where if you say pomade, which is apparently like some kind of wax substance made in France, 3 times, it will make her go away. Or if you just say, your average, or heck, I even liked the legend of, well, do you think I'm pretty? Will confuse her because she doesn't know how to respond to that, and you can run away. And the reason why you need to do that is because if you try to run away from her normally, she has super speed, and you will not be able to escape because she will constantly keep popping up in front of you and asking you, "Am I pretty?"
yeah. She'll just like Jason Voorhees, just like appear where like exactly
Yep.
where you go to run.
Yep. Um, a big thing is that most times when she does kill you, a lot of legends believe that you'll find the body, but the original legend was you don't. You just die, but no one finds the body, which kind of brings into question how do you know they're dead? But
It's
that's a
like
legend.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like dead men tell no tale. It's like okay.
Yeah. But I personally, but I can go into the variations of her then if you want me to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go
Okay.
for it. Yeah.
So a big variation. So I'll put out some similarities to her, and then I'll go into her variations really quick. So one of the big things is that she is very similar to La Llorona, the I don't want to say Mexican, but
The lady in white, like
lady in white
yeah.
who kidnaps children and drowns them because she specifically targets children. And they disappear, at least in her earlier incarnations. She's also very similar to vampires because vampires specifically have to count things. When you drop them. And so when kids drop hard candies, specifically caramelized candies, it can be very much of a similar situation to that. Because if I believe correctly, Japan does have a similar creatures where you throw them and they have to count. I believe their hopping vampires have to do that.
I think that's the Chinese hopping vampire, but it might be Japanese as well, or
I
like there
mean,
might be a
Chinese and
variant.
Japan very much go together hand in hand.
I just mean there might be a variant, and because
Right.
I think that is a like an Asian vampire
My
sort of like sort of I don't want to say gimmick,
right.
but like trait where they have to
Before
count like things
right,
over and over.
right. Yeah, well that's also a Western trait too. But
Is it okay?
it is, yep. Really
That
quick before I go to review.
that's
Yeah.
why the Count on Sesame Street was named a Count.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I guess okay.
There you
Yeah.
go.
There you go.
Holy, my mind is blown. I just thought he was just because he's called the Count, and it was just a play on words.
It's both.
Holy
Mhm.
shit!
This is yeah. That's why you could make a mathematician vampire and it wouldn't be out of place. One of my favorite ways, really quick before I go into her variations, one of my favorite ways to defeat her is to just say, "I'm sorry, I have to be somewhere. I'm in a hurry."
So
Because
she's too polite.
yeah, well, the Japanese society being polite.
And it's like,
Uh,
oh, I understand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and she'll just step aside. So her variations. She has gone through a number of variations throughout the years. A couple of them that I've seen are if you say no to her the second time, she doesn't kill you right away. You wait till you go to your bed and you sleep, and then she kills you in your sleep. Or um she Okay, so there are three variations that I know
Sorry,
of.
before you continue, I do
Sure.
kind of like that fake out. Like that could be good for a creepypasta or a story or something like that, because it's like you say like it's like yeah, I think you're pretty, and then like pulls off the mask and it's like, am I pretty now? It's like no, and then she just fades away and it's like, oh, okay, I looks like I guess that was it, right? And
Okay.
then like cut to like the next next day, like the person like somebody walks, like a roommate comes, like knocks on the door asking if he's okay or something like that, and then they find the person's dead.
Yeah.
Like
Glasgow smile.
that would be a good like zinger.
Um, a big thing also is that so uh, side note that does actually have to do with Kuchisake-Onna people. Japan has a huge yokai cinematic universe. They Ring, The Grudge, Kuchisake-Onna, Teki Teke, a bunch of them, and a lot of times they interact with each other and whatnot. But what I enjoy about the cinematic universe of yokai is that they change them up and they make it very interesting, because in 2007 their movie came out called Carved. And Carved introduced a new substance where Kuchisake-Onna is not just a spirit, it is a spirit that possesses women. So
Oh,
when you can kill her, but she will just keep coming back as a different person.
yeah.
And what I love is that one of those movies had the POV of one of those women becoming a Kuchisake-Onna,
Nice.
slowly turning into this slit-mouthed woman, having hallucinations, not understanding what's happening to her, slowly becoming this monster, which I think is a great idea for a creepypasta if you start writing about, writing from the point of view of a person slowly becoming this slit-mouthed woman.
Yeah, somebody slowly being afflicted by a curse, like like a werewolf or a vampire, but it's in this case it's Kuchisake-Onna.
Right.
I would like to go ahead and tell Ian that was my contribution I was going to offer when we start trying to make this a story. So,
well, Adam,
sorry.
there's the audio door. No, I'm
Well, I think what's terrifying about Carved. I'm not going to talk about the movie itself, as in like what I think about it, but I think what's terrifying is that when you're a child, because a lot of what it is, it's about children seeking out Kuchisake-Onna, because that's what Japanese children do in these stories.
That's something that always bugs me about ritual pastas, is doing a ritual pasta. And ritual pasta, for people who haven't listened to some of our episodes or earlier episodes, they're basically creepypastas that are instructions on how to do something, like Bloody Mary or 11 Mile Road, where
I love 11 Mile Road.
you do, yeah. Well, at least so 11 Mile Road is kind of a good how to do a good ritual pasta, because there is a series of obstacles that are life and sanity threatening, but there is a gift, or there's a boon at the end of the tunnel. But like for things like Bloody Mary, or like more recent iterations of Bloody Mary, the earlier iterations of Bloody Mary were like a way for women to find to see, like they do it like in the mirror to see if they could see their new, or their future husband, sort of thing, is kind of where it stems from. And then it just kind of telephone tagged across history to what we have now, where it's like, oh, let's go into a bathroom and say Bloody Mary a couple of times until she shows up and kills us. Yay! It's like I never got that angle of like ritual pastas. It's like, why do you want to kill yourself through a ritual pasta? Like just to try and is that just the adrenaline rush to show that you did that and it didn't work and you got scared? But like,
you live in a world where people were eating Tide Pods.
Holy shit, you're right. Okay,
I mean, you got people who do. One of my a big, and Adam can definitely contribute on this part, is one of my ideas is that's terrifying is, imagine you're the husband of a woman who is now being slowly possessed by Kuchisake-Onna, who will most likely go after your kid that you have together. Like, your child is in danger, and even if you manage to, and the only way to stop Kuchisake-Onna temporarily is to kill your wife.
Well, that's a trope in horror. So
yeah, that's 100% a trope.
horror movies are made to present the other. and then you see how horrible and all that is, and then whenever the creature's defeated, order is reestablished and stuff like that. So I mean, I was kind of sitting on this for a moment, but it seemed like we're naturally progressing over there. But I mean, the story of Kuchisake-Onna kind of, I mean, it rings very familiar to me with like Medusa. Now, I mean, there's variation, of course. She was promiscuous in the temple, or she was raped in the temple, or whatnot, and she got punished and things like that. And she's cursed to do. It's the same kind of thing. We're using, and I'm kind of doing a blanket statement here, but this is the English degree in the film studies class coming out. But we're really looking at a woman who would deviate from perhaps cultural, not, I don't want to say norms, but expectations. You're talking about her committing an act of infidelity or something like that, and then
or assumed infidelity.
Yeah, assumed infidelity, which God knows our country has a history of accusing people of stuff. Then then she's punished, and then they punish her that much further by making her take children, which is very much against this maternal instinct thing. So they're like really showing a perversion, an extreme deviation of like a woman's role, quote unquote, so to speak, and stuff like that. And that story.
I'm sorry. What I really find interesting is that there are 3 variations of Kuchisake-Onna that like are it's across the board. You have human Kuchisake-Onna, who is just a human, but it is a serial killer using Kuchisake-Onna as sort of like her moniker. Then you have possession Kuchisake-Onna, who possesses a normal human body that you can kill, but will just keep possessing people over and over again. Or you have normal classic Kuchisake-Onna, who there is apparently, all I know is there's no way to actually physically defeat Kuchisake-Onna, no matter what. The only way to actually defeat her is if you just say yes both times, in which case, you're fucked. Or you figure out a way to run away or something like that. But it really depends on the variation, because sometimes...
And we're not looking for a variation, though. I mean, even in that story that you, like what I was kind of getting at beforehand, like the husband or the father having to, go against this. I mean, that's the establishment of roles. You got the paternal figure, assuming responsibility and, cutting out this cancerous kind of part and then reestablishing a whole. Like, I think that if we are going to be kind of workshopping some ideas around here, I think I would really like to see some alternatives. A good horror is never over, of course, so we may be defeating ourselves, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's me playing RPGs with Crazon, and I've befriended a monstrous otherworldly being and stuff like that. It makes me just want to see
the other side.
No, I understand. I understand that. I mean, to be fair, there are numerous ways you can do this. In the fact of like, so a big thing that we should realize is that 2 things. Actually 3 things. One, Kuchisake-Onna. I believe in Kuchisake-Onna in L.A. Because there's an American version of her.
Yeah, of course, it's the Americanization.
I believe she gets depossessed by. I believe.
Sorry. Just to cut in. Yes, I am bitter because of Rec and Quarantine. I hated Quarantine. I love the Rec series.
I thought the first Rec was okay. Quarantine was okay.
It's just I liked how original the premise of Rec was for the zombie infestation. Was that it was effectively again, this is kind of a little bit spoilers, but like they had such a unique thing for the Rec thing that was like very cultural to Spain. But like, and when they carted it over to America to like redo it, they just like, oh, it's just rabies. it's human rabies. It's like, no, guys, come on, we can do better than this.
So, but yeah, so when it was Americanized, I believe she was depossessed. I'm not really sure, or was something like that. It was very confusing, but it wasn't a very well made movie. But what I do think that you can have a happy ending with this. I do have a complaint though about like various Japanese ghosts in the fact that, or at least legends, modern day legends of the fact that like, oh, this one person killed you, now you gotta kill everybody. It's like
Just vindictive, like to the nth
vindictive.
degree.
Yeah, I at least enjoyed. There was a nice take. I'm getting on a tangent. I shouldn't. Sorry. Let me at least say the last two variations that I saw of her.
Sure.
So one variation that I enjoyed, which was in Teke versus Kuchisake-Onna 2. Because they have to have a sequel.
I have some movies I gotta watch. Apparently.
Oh man, you gotta watch these movies. So in Kuchisake-Onna versus Teke 2, but and Teke, for those who don't know, is a spirit that had their legs cut off, and they are constantly going around looking for legs. So they just kill people and take their legs, and usually they can't reattach them, so they just keep going and killing and looking for their specific
Vicious
legs.
cycle.
Yeah, it is a vicious cycle. Teke is also a spirit that can possess people, so sometimes it can be a never-ending battle. But in that legend, again, part of the yokai cinematic universe, the spirits have gained enough power that they don't have to confront you physically. They can text you or call you and ask, "Do you think I'm pretty?" Which, if you don't answer or hang up enough times, it's regarded as a no.
Oh shit! So you try ghosting these
Yeah.
ghosts, and they're just like, nah, that qualifies as a loophole here for our no yes no
Yeah.
situation.
Yes, no submissions.
Yeah.
Which I think is a unique take on a more modern day legend, considering she was created in the 80s and 90s or 70s and 80s when there were really no cell phones. So by upping her there to now have more influence over actual technology. I also did enjoy one where a girlfriend, she's watching her boyfriend said, "Oh yeah, I ran into this weird woman like a while ago, but like, she just disappeared." And he goes to bed, right? And she's
Mhm.
sitting there watching TV, and all of a sudden the TV comes on, and it's like of CCTV cameras in like her neighborhood. And all of a sudden
Oh,
she sees this woman, and the woman's like running, and she's like running, and then she keeps the
the
TV
CRT
keeps
keeps
switching.
changing.
Yeah, changing. And she's like, "Wait a minute, I recognize this neighborhood." And it's
Fuck
like,
that.
and then eventually, yeah, it shows her just standing outside their window apartment, and she like gets in and like murders the boyfriend.
Okay, that is so. What you just described, I just got goosebumps because I find I find like it's sometimes creepier when the creature or when the spirit thing or whatever is running at you. Like 28 Days Later kind of fucked me up a little bit because it wasn't just shambling zombies or just like methodical zombies. It's running at you at breakneck speed. Like just
Yeah,
it creates that sort of anxious tension of like like something like you're like almost like the two for flinching sort of thing.
hmm
Yeah, that, and I do like the idea of uh, bringing in the phone like element and like updating the horror, because yeah, again, how many times has there been a conversation or an argument in like a horror sessions of like tabletop RPGs or in like movies or talking about movies or stories where in the modern day where it's just like, well, this horror situation would never happen because we just use our phones.
right.
Like everyone talks about that when it comes to like horror in the modern day, and it's just like to add that extra, it's like, well, yeah, your phone's now a vector.
Well, that's what I love about the yokai cinematic universe is the fact that the more the ghosts kill and the more of the legend that spreads, the more powerful the ghost becomes, and thus the ghost starts to be able to more or less affect modern day technology. There's a great mini manga about how Kuchisake-Onna starts. This is before 2020 when everyone had to wear masks, and I'm pretty sure her legend like, in my opinion, 2020. I am surprised there's no creepypasta for it, but considering that 2020 everyone's full of masks, it creates a
the
new scary opportunity of her literally looking like a normal person. And if you
I
report that,
get that. I definitely I'm surprised as well that there's not. I'm surprised we haven't gotten, like, how we had those clown sightings a couple of years ago on the
yeah,
East Coast. I'm surprised
yeah.
we haven't seen like people online doing like Kuchisake-Onna sightings. My counter to that is that people may not be creating those stories because this pandemic has we don't want to demonize mask wearing.
I understand. A big thing though is that I remember there was one mini manga short story that was basically it was a nice one. It ended in a nice story. But Kuchisake-Onna was basically disappearing because no one was talking about her, and even the kids were like no longer afraid of her. We're like, "You want some candy?" And we'll just hang out with Kuchisake-Onna while she like sucked on lollipops and whatever.
So
It was a cute story, but it was just like, and then these kids went off and they spread the legend of Kuchisake-Onna so their play friend wouldn't disappear.
And then she goes, I kind of like that, but like to horrify that, it's like, yeah, they start spreading her word again, and then she becomes a horror monster again. Like she becomes another, like she becomes like a terrifying, like predatory creature again.
Yeah.
Funny that you mentioned Predator, because that reminded me, I want some candy from Predator 2.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, that too.
God, Predator 2 was so good.
It was. Yeah, like it was good for different reasons from Predator 1, in my opinion. So
yeah, that's all the variations that I know of at the moment. I know of a couple more, but that they aren't much different from what I've already stated.
Yeah. Okay. So I suppose then we'll go on to like to see what all other kind of like fodder and ideas we have for kind of like elevate. We were kind of doing that a little bit while you were bringing up the history and such, but that's fine.
Yeah,
It's
sorry,
organic
I was rambling
process.
so long.
No, it's fine. It is what it is. So Adam, you said you kind of contributed a couple or things in there. Do you have anything else to add for this?
Adam, he kind of contributes.
I didn't mean it that way.
I know. No, I mean, it's really nice variations. I really liked how I was thinking how to use it modern day in technology and all that. And I was actually thinking of like Ring cameras and CCTVs and stuff like that. So, I mean, I think that Ian has done a really good job of introducing stuff to it. And I mean, I don't really have much more to add until we get to the actual workshop of what we would do or how we could use it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're doing now.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Actually, and to bring it actually to kind of bring up some things that you mentioned. I could just again imagine the like every other creepy video on YouTube I look up, like those compilation videos, like top 5 scary videos and stuff like that. One of them is usually one of those like little like doorbell cameras, and can you just imagine seeing a fucking
that's what
like
I was thinking.
Kuchisake-Onna at your door?
I was imagining that because then, all right, is she going to affect the whole building?
Oh fuck yeah! Or and to kind of go back to what you were saying as well, Adam, with trying not to necessarily trying to change the narrative a little bit, or like do something different with the tropes in the narrative from earlier. Like how do you think we could do that? Like for like changing up the like making, I guess, like to make her like sympathetic, or
make it something that can be overcame.
Yeah.
For example, I was thinking as I was workshopping. Excuse me, my mind is shot. Different ideas in my head about this. I thought like maybe you could start out with like a story of a young girl, and I was thinking about the cuts on the mouth. You know, I don't know if you've seen them, but those little popsicles that are like frozen, very like not tubular, but
freezies.
The freezies
Or
that like you have to take a pair of scissors and cut them, and then you got the 2 sharp pieces of plastic.
Yeah, I think. Do you guys call them freezy pops down there? Because we just call them freezies up here.
Okay.
They're like, yeah, like they have those like, yeah, because they're done up in a rows of like in rows that like you can like snap off, and because of that, the flaps on either side of the tube are like super goddamn sharp. And
yeah,
I definitely have memories as a kid having like eating those and cutting the corners of my mouth.
So, I'm thinking about a story where, I don't know how you would frame it, but a young girl was eating one of those and she kind of nicks the corners of her mouth and they're sore. And maybe this would be a story told from the other kid's perspective.
Oh, so like I could see like a Little Fears game kind of going like sort of like a small like a younger version of Kuchisake-Onna, and it's later revealed that because the way Little Fears mechanics can work, and a way it was kind of intended initially when it came out, is that like the monsters don't actually exist outside of the kids' zone of belief. Like, and those the kids' belief basically creates it feeds off of their fears. Hence why it's called Little Fears.
So the little girl's aware of the story. Someone says that she's going to turn into Kuchisake, and then
Kuchisake-Onna, and then it's like when you see like in other kid stories where like a kid gets like that bump on their head or like it's like a bump on their head. It's like, oh, you're gonna grow a horn because you're like it's like that rhinoceros like thing or rhinoceros or something. Yeah, it could be like that. And then like I think I'm just remembering a Rugrats movie or a Rugrats episode where like Angelica gets a bump on her head and she they think that she's going to turn into a rhinoceros because of the way the scientific word for what it is comes. So I think it's like chickenpox. The scientific word for chickenpox.
There's a good I'm sorry, I don't mean to. There's actually a good thing because I remembered something. In a manga I was reading that had Kuchisake-Onna in it. Basically, there's this teacher that investigates supernatural stuff to keep his students safe. Right. One of his kids is dating a girl. The girl is really sick, and the guy is, and the problem is the boyfriend is he's really into the cult, so he starts thinking his girlfriend's going to turn into Kuchisake-Onna, and then that starts affecting the other people because they think their girlfriend's going to turn into Kuchisake-Onna, and because of their power of belief, she turns into not actually like the Kuchisake-Onna you're thinking of, but like her mouth becomes impossibly wide, like wider than her face. It like goes off in the panels, and like it turns into like this weird mind rendering like. Her powers end up like turning the apartment building that they're in into like a netherworld area, but it only happens because the boyfriend accidentally spread the power of belief that this person was turning into Kuchisake-Onna because she wore a surgical mask.
So you take the story, and then you give it an anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would up the age on this one then and kind of go for the Mean Girls like age group. And things like that, but she cuts her mouth.
Yeah,
maybe do Kids on Bikes rather than Little Fears, since Little Fears
on Bikes. She may even kind of frame it like a Carrie kind of story, possibly even where there's like an outcast, but she has a friend, or something like that. That actually, as she starts kind of going through this metamorphosis, you have a little scene, kind of like you see a scene where they're in art class and she walks up and all the kids already start talking about her and thinking she's weird, and then she gets a pair of scissors, and then, you got a close up of the scissors and you got this dead look in her eye, and then she walks back by her desk and nothing happens, kind of weird things like that. But eventually you could have friendship or love or whatever you want to do kind of win out. You could even, it could be something that you're researching. The Kuchisake. I can't even speak. I don't have it. If I don't have it in front of me, I can't say it.
Split mouth woman.
It's okay. I did the same thing with Kuchisake-Sama for the longest time.
Maybe there's like a list of things that they got to do, like from her life, like to make amends or things like that. So you got these two friends that's in this race against time, which you could almost do it like a, where you've seen in movies where somebody's possibly been infected by a zombie. You could kind of treat it like that.
Yeah. Well, I definitely would like that idea. I like, because I mean, in that story, basically the teacher was like, "You have to stop believing she's Kuchisake-Onna. She's your girlfriend, damn it!" And it's like slaps him all across the face. He's like, "Now go apologize to your girlfriend." And like love wins out in the end. But I just love that whole like, it's. You got like, dude, stop thinking like that.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of, oh god. Yeah.
Now use
Damn
that
it, Ian.
Use that as the episode picture.
Yeah, I'll have to redraw that for the title card.
The other image I had, and I got to say it while I got my turn here.
Yeah.
But if you were doing something as a child, and I've got this whole image of like this, 7 or 8 year old girl sitting at the table eating across the table from her father or something like that, and like her sticking a spoon or something in her mouth to take a bite of something. And when she pulls it out, she pulls a little bit too much to like the left or the right side, and it goes through the slit that's not even noticed. And then I can just see that scene of as a parent just seeing something like that, and the kid not even reacting, and just weird things like that.
That would be so like because like that the story could, or it could be either like again the creepypasta angle of like the parent seeing their child like maybe like kind of take all some of the ideas we have here. So like the kid has like has those slits from like the freezy thing. They hear about the Kuchisake-Onna story from some kids at school. The belief starts flowing, like the fear belief starts kind of flowing.
Mhm.
So they start changing, and maybe the parents are noticing this change as well. So you kind of like it like sort of got like a Brightburn, like the first act of Brightburn, where like weird shit is happening to the kid, and they're like as he's like basically hitting puberty, and so he's starting to become a little bit more alien about it.
And then you would end this whole story with kind of the Babadook approach, where it could actually be the spirit of the mother who is dead and kind of inhabits in her child and something like that, and then the father exercises it, and then there's the spirit that's living in the basement that's being domesticated and maybe rehabilitated, or you're visiting a cemetery laying flowers, and it's
I kind of like that. Like
I
maybe
like
there's some.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just say, like maybe there was like early in the story we get some like tension about like again like the death, like the family, the rest of the family's taking the death pretty hard. Like it might be recent, or it might be been a couple of years prior, but we get a little bit of that, and then the changes start happening, and then we discover that it's because like the mother's spirit is basically taking over the child because she's being picked on at school and stuff like that, and so she's becoming almost like a little bit of an avenging spirit but like a vengeful spirit at the same time. And and maybe the catalyst for like fixing things is except like kind of like reconnecting between like the parent and their child, and maybe going to the cemetery, and like maybe they haven't been going to the cemetery and like showing their respect to their dead parent or spouse, because again trauma, like you see it happen in real life as much as fiction and literature, like not wanting to go somewhere, not going to go to your a family member's grave or that whatnot, and so basically accepting death, like accepting the trauma and stuff like that.
I've got the introduction for it too, and here's how it goes, and I'm going to stop and turn the floor over.
Okay.
Going with the tropes that's been established. Young father and mother, young couple, premarital sex relationship. She ends up pregnant and runs away. And then, this child is like the mother's out of the picture. She's gone. She's disappeared. Like they've recovered the child somehow. Maybe she died of some sickness, and she was in touch with them, and then the father's been reintroduced to their child, and it's awkward, you know what I mean? So, everything that happens to mom happens off screen, but you do have the shame, the guilt, the people are calling your daughter that little bastard, or things like that.
Basically have like the rough like the rough sort of like the rough connection, the rough relations between the parent and the child, and then the rough like childhood because of the reputation, like a bad reputation on account of not even like of their own doing, just because of the circumstances of their birth and such.
Yeah, and you exercise the spirit from the mother. A child is the mother, and blah blah blah. But you're basically dealing with the trauma of like being a social pariah and being, kicked out by your family and, et cetera, et cetera. You all the frustrations and grief, like I'm saying that they need to happen. Because I'm not comfortable about the sexual promiscuous aspect of it, but I think it would be really interesting that somebody did the best they could. They suffered, they worked themselves to death, and then you're dealing with that past trauma and helping them while also helping the child that you're establishing a relationship with. I know I'm kind of jumping between ages on the kids, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking.
I think what's interesting is that so again, because it's based on that one story, I think it takes that sexual promiscuousness from that. And to be fair, in that story, the one that I know, she wasn't sexually promiscuous. It was the husband who was, and he wanted her gone because he wanted to marry the other woman to get rich. But to be fair, you don't even need sexual promiscuousness in Kuchisake-Onna. All you need is a tragic story of her having a disfigurement that she covers up in some form or another.
So we're kind of going a little bit of the Paranorman plot, if you guys have seen Paranorman.
No, but I've heard about it.
Okay. Well, basically, so basically, it's a monster who is created in death, but in life, like, and also because of the subjugation or like the persecutions and subjugations that they had to deal with because of being different in life. It's a sort of situation like you're saying, like that one, like where maybe like she was persecuted and stuff, and that's why she wore the mask or like wore something over her face because of she had like some sort of like social like facial scarring, maybe because of some just a regular accident. It had nothing to do with like anything particularly terrible, but it's just.
I was gonna say in the show John Constantine, which is a good show and you should go watch it. Kuchisake-Onna shows up, and she shows up because of some bullshit that's happening with urban legends, but she's not like, she wasn't killed. I don't believe she was killed by like a jealous husband or anything. I believe it was she's a model who had a terrible accident and couldn't become a model anymore. And I think she got possessed by the Kuchisake-Onna spirit thanks to like,
Okay, so the spirit, like, that would work as well. Like, it could be either that, like, the spirit is the product of the persecution in life, or in the idea of like the curse, like the spirit possessing curse sort of thing. It's attracted to that same kind of issue, or it's attracted to that.
Right.
Like, it targets that kind of host.
That exact thing, and I think, like, for me, if I was going to make a game about this, I think what could be a great game would be if you could play teenagers or you could play young people or whatever. But let's say your mother or your aunt or whatever suddenly went on this killing spree, right?
Yeah.
And she was stopped. There was a terrible accident. She was killed, whatever. But, she was a sweet mother. Wonder what happened. Then you go in to investigate and you stumble upon, she was possessed by Kuchisake-Onna, or she was Kuchisake-Onna. Or you could have it that, I like the idea also of, your roommate, you're all frat buddies and you're all in the room, and then your roommate comes home and he's freaked out, and then he wakes up and he's dead the next morning, and then all of a sudden you guys are getting stalked by Kuchisake-Onna.
Yeah, that's sort of the same kind of thing. Yeah, like basically it's and maybe you have to figure out like which, like who do you all know that's currently being possessed by the Kuchisake-Onna, because like maybe it's
also
targeting people that have been maybe I mean maybe your characters aren't also the nicest people. Like maybe you scorned somebody, or you like God not
oh God,
like,
what if
hang on, like maybe you guys happen to like be a bunch of douches in like an earlier like situation, like out of game, or like before the story starts, where you like catcalled some woman or something like that, and you're basically just getting your comeuppance as after that woman gets possessed by the Kuchisake-Onna. And so it's kind of like you kind of deserve it, but like but like also not, or like it's like like you kind of deserve it to the nth, like to the extreme.
The way I view Kuchisake-Onna is a good monster of the week. She is very much good for that kind of uh ironically enough,
Mystery.
you could actually use her in Monster of the Week.
Yeah, for 100%.
But yeah, I always struck her more as like she's good for Monster of the Week, and what's nice is that because she's an urban legend, she's a contemporary yokai, which just means she's a urban legend. You could change it that all right, you just need to trap her and like maybe satisfy her spirit, or maybe it's the I guess taking from Unknown Armies here, it's the archetype of archetype of the Kuchisake-Onna. So who's someone that has scorned her or caused this great pain to her that she is now like stalking this one area?
Yeah, exactly. That would definitely work as well. Because like she does seem to be like it sounded like she has a specific type of territory in the legends, right? Like there's a certain location, like a was it Gifu Prefecture, or is that just where
Gifu
the
Prefecture
newspaper
was the first sightings of her specifically in that area.
Yeah.
Especially she mostly appears at night, although could be at day. I like John Constantine did it in the day. But she mostly appears in narrow alleyways or narrow streets where there are just no people around.
Yeah, so basically like the outskirts of like kind of like a smaller, like a dingier part of downtown, or like the outskirts sort of thing.
Which I think makes it very interesting because like in your Fear Itself game with Hachisaku-sama was invisible and could easily appear whenever she wanted
everywhere.
to, everywhere in populated areas. Kuchisake-Onna just does not do that, and she is not invisible. She cannot turn invisible. At least, like according to most legends, she doesn't turn invisible. She just has super speed. She runs really, really fast.
Yeah, so she's a speedster.
Yeah.
And I like that. Like it's where we go again. Hachisaku-sama is very kind of like her playing field is a lot more vast. Whereas in this one with Kuchisake-Onna, we get a bit of more of a claustrophobic sort of vibe, because she has to be in she's kind of like the rogue. She has to be in the shadows. She's she's not rogue as in like the superhero, but like again like the D&D class, or like the like the character who is like skulking in the dark, waiting. Basically, she's an ambush predator to a degree. Like she can't just go out in the open and like take out somebody with a lot of people. Like she's got her own like little bit of like either limits or rules to her about like how she can attack somebody and how she can take on somebody. I'm also starting to think it's like, I mean, to kind of like pull away from like Japanese culture to it, to have like it's almost like a fae as well, like one of the fae, because she's asking for a pact, or she's sort of giving you a sort of like making a deal with you, or like
sealed.
Exactly, like creating a pact with you. And I'm going to just hop in here with another idea I had, or one of the first ideas I came up with when I was trying to think on like how to use Kuchisake-Onna for a like a game fodder, or even for like a creepypasta thing if you want to use the mythos, like the Cthulhu mythos, or like for Fear Itself or Delta Green sort of stuff. So my idea is I kind of pulled off from like the split mouth woman, like the whole like mouth widened to ear, and you kind of brought it up earlier with the one curse in that mini manga. Except I'm kind of going with the idea of like that she's actually not human and not a ghost necessarily, but she is a serpent folk, like one of those snake people from the mythos that are like the descendants, or like one of the earlier civilizations on Earth that have like survived in the shadows. Because their civilization has gone to hell, but they skulk around humanity, and occasionally like they're trying to find their way back to power. So the idea I had was like you have Kuchisake-Onna be a serpent folk in disguise, and she's and this creature is responsible for the for the legend of Kuchisake-Onna in Japan, either set in like the Edo period where it was kind of first started historically, or even have it set in the 70s. And again, yeah, like when disguised as a human to appear human, like the one big kind of giveaway for her is that like like as part of the glamour, they were not able to get their serpentine mouth like glamored, so it just looks like a slit mouth. And yeah, basically have your characters have either the characters from the story or the players be like detectives or officials looking into mysterious deaths and stumbling upon this kind of mythos conspiracy of a serpent folk serial killer, essentially.
It might not even be deaths. In this case, it might be disappearances, considering she might just eat them.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the vanishing of, I can never remember the movie. It's a found footage film, but it has like a very creepy snake woman, like snake woman, like snake jawed woman.
Deborah Logan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, is it the vanishing of Deborah Logan?
I think so. It's something Deborah Logan.
Yeah, like it kind of, I got spoiled by it, like by Googling it, and then just like all the Google images are just that one scene.
The
Taking. That's what it is. Yes. But yeah, have that be your the kind of the situation of like that this urban legend was started because of this mythos entity or this other thing, because and it would also play on the idea of, again, urban legends, like where there's smoke there's fire. So like there was something something creepy and monstrous about this urban legend. It just wasn't what everybody expected it was, because everyone either gets eaten or killed by the Kuchisake-Onna, or they end up defeating it and having to cover it all up, right? So the legend just kind of becomes a legend after that.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah, that was like the first kind of takeaway I had, because like to try and like just try to think outside the box on like, okay, so like let's go way out of the box. Like this character's not even a ghost. I'm Scooby-Dooing it, except there's another twist after they pull the mask off. It's a snake. It's actually a snake monster.
Oh man, I'm just Scooby-Doo.
The Kuchisake-Onna.
Oh,
fuck. Oh god, I they've done all these other like Scooby-Doo movies where like they end up actually encountering the supernatural. I'm surprised they haven't done a Japanese horror one yet.
I don't know. I mean, I when I saw this, when I look back and I see the ones where they're like, oh, we have the African.
Okay, they got. I meant like more like the Salem, like the witch's ghost one, and like the zombie island.
Where they were actually
something supernatural about it.
Let's see what this zombie is. Rips off the zombie head. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Oh shit! It's a natural zombie, and you're actually dealing with cat people.
That was a
spoilers
great movie.
For Scooby-Doo and the Curse of Zombie Island.
If you haven't seen Scooby-Doo and the Curse of Zombie Island, or Scooby-Doo and that Salem witch one,
The Witch's Ghost is what it was.
Witch's Ghost. Yeah. You should go watch them. They are actually decent, and they have really good music and voice acting.
Yeah, surprisingly good. But that's not here or there.
No. If I had to make a game for this, like if someone put a gun to my head and was like, you have to make a game involving this, it can't be a monster of the week thing. Like it can't be like, all right guys, we've done murdered Bigfoot, now let's go kill Kuchisake-Onna. I would either do World of Darkness or I saw here that you also put down Night's Black Agents, which I also like.
Yes.
I enjoy that because I like the idea of her being in there, but also her just being a specific vampire. Or as is stated before, it's not just one Kuchisake-Onna, it's multiple Kuchisake-Onnas, because that's how the vampires move around.
Yeah, and that's actually I actually forgot that part of my snake person thing, is that there's actually a cult of the snake people that are all the same. They're all taking the same guys. So like that's how you get around, like, again, the speedster angle. It's like, oh shit, she's in that alley. No, she's in that alley. Oh shit, like as you're running, she just keeps popping out of alleys.
I always imagine what if so there's a good game called World of Horror, which Adam has and all that stuff, which involves the legend of Kuchisake-Onna, and the spirit you have to fight the spirit, but the spirit creates mini Kuchisake-Onnas, small ones, or not small ones. She turns girls into basically her, but they're physical and whatnot.
Okay, like lesser ones, like not like
Yeah.
it's like there's like a prime one, and then like there's one that's they're all the same size though, right? Like there's because
No,
when
the
you
main
said
one
that,
is huge.
okay, when you said that, I immediately thought of like I don't know why. I immediately thought of like little Barbie doll sized ones coming after you.
Right. So,
Oh fuck. Sorry.
yeah. So what I imagine is like, um, damn it! Now all I can think about is that scene from Toy Soldiers. I don't know where I was
Oh
going
shit,
now.
you're right.
Damn, I don't know where I was going now. Adam, quick, help me.
I'm sorry, my child's yelling, picking
All
up
right,
the
never mind.
cat.
Hold on. Let me see.
Oh, good.
So what I was thinking is basically you have this one where you could easily have that where like she's cursing other people, but I know where I was going.
Okay.
What if you have a player character who's cursed by 2 different Kuchisake-Onnas,
Oh shit.
and you're running from one, and she finds you, she's like, "My beautiful," but then you hear the other one, and it's like, okay, now you got 2 Kuchisake-Onnas who got to fight, cause like now you're their territory.
Why aren't you guys going for the low-hanging fruit and saying it's like swipe left, swipe right? If you're swiping, the wrong way, you're dying.
Oh well, to be fair, that could easily be in the legend of yeah, you just encounter her on fucking Tinder.
Yeah,
Oh
and then
fuck. You're. God, I was like,
it's
what?
Tinder.
Swipe white? What? Swiper no swiping?
Yeah, and then
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. That'd be
I'm the only one who thought about that at
terrifying.
first, but then I realized he was talking about Tinder.
you're going through the browser history. You got someone after reporting, somebody's death, the investigators or whatever going through the browsing history, and you can go see where they're going through Tinder. And then you could see what the last thing that they did was, and then you could trap it that way. I also like the idea of swiping right on
Yeah.
her.
I could do that, and then she shows you the other picture. Swipe left,
Yeah.
swipe right.
Oh god. Yeah. And then like that's where you get the because you're like the person's at home doing that in the story or in the game scenario. Like it could be like an NPC that drags a bunch of his roommates down with him because he's like doing that, and then have like that's where you get like the knock on the door suddenly, or like you're checking through the door cam, and she's like outside again, sort of to not to copy paste my Hachishaku-sama scenario,
It worked.
but yeah, have that kind of thing where like you're in an apartment and your roommate just like found this really weird like Tinder profile and like swiped left and then swiped left really hard again, or swiped right because holy shit, slit mouth. And then suddenly you're getting knocks on the door, or like again, suddenly your camera, your security cameras are going off, and you're seeing this like woman like running around your apartment or your house. If you have like an exterior, like kind of external security camera system.
So when
Awesome.
are you going to run this for me and Tara?
Wait. When the fuck? Why you, not me? I'm the one
Ian,
who dealt.
you're in this as well. You can come into this game as well.
I was the one who created Kuchisake-Onna. Don't you dare steal my idea and tell me to go fuck off. I'm sorry. I think let me just one because I think it's a good story hook. Is if your sister, okay, so take that scene where she kills the boyfriend in your sister's apartment. Your sister's now been framed for murder by a ghost.
Yeah.
Go solve that shit. Like she's like, I need your help. I don't know what happened. Blah 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 blah.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Yeah. I kind of like that. Yeah, like again, it's like it's a mystery procedural, but doesn't have you playing like like just the usual like the cops sort of thing.
Right.
It actually kind of reminds me of the movie Stay Alive, where
Oh, I love that.
who just scoffed because I love that movie to death.
I'm sorry, I just ate pizza with red pepper on it, and I'm choking to death.
But like I like that. One of the things I liked about that movie is like it's basically just a horror scenario that any of us have run in Fear itself, or like where like you're all a bunch of like they're not like authority figures. Although there is an authority figure like detective element in it that's working on this like every couple of scenes, like you see that what they're doing and stuff. But it's this group of friends who's like who like one of their friends dies as a result of like the supernatural element, and they're all looking into it through different avenues to try and figure out how to, because it seems like they're all being stalked now by this. Actually, that creature also kind of actually has Kuchisake-Onna vibes. Now that I think about it, because she kills you with with a scissors. It's like Elizabeth Bathory, the Blood Countess.
Yeah, well, I love slight spoilers for Stay Alive, but I love the scene where the cop just picks up the video game, starts playing it, then walks away, and they just gets fucking
It just
killed.
just kills him like
I'm just
for
like,
play.
he only did that just so he could die. I was like,
Yeah.
I just love the idea that the cop's like, yeah, I'd like to play this video game for a little bit. All right, I'm done.
Looks like I died in that game. Oh, this is a shitty game. Oh no,
Yeah.
and then blah, I'm dead. But again, going back to
it isn't even because you died in the games, because you gave it a shitty review.
oh god, yeah, that's the sequel.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Kuchisake-Onna to me is good for. I think what she would be good for is she would be good as an introduction to the dangerous elements of the. So think about this. You know that Umi game that I keep talking about and I keep expanding on.
Yes.
With
Would you like to explain that, because again we're on a podcast?
Okay.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm creating a world, a fictional city that has both Japanese and Russian stuff in it, but also there's this apartment building called Little America where a bunch of expat Americans live. And it basically involves folklore, legends, and urban legends and all that kind of stuff. It's basically meant to be a little playground. What would be good for that is you first get introduced to the supernatural, not by a malevolent entity, but by a nice entity. There's a great game called Twilight Symphony where these girls, they don't summon an evil entity, they summon an entity that was meant to. They summon a little girl spirit that is meant to play with you. It is not meant to be evil. It does not kill you. It plays with you until you're done, and then she goes away and waits till you want to play with her again. She is a good spirit for lonely children in the world. And when the people summon them and they run away, she's like, "Why are you guys running?" And all that kind of stuff. But what would be good is maybe they get introduced to Kuchisake-Onna, and oh shit, maybe there are some bad spirits.
Yeah, kind of like introducing introducing your characters, your player characters into the world of the supernatural.
Yeah.
Through that.
And you could easily make it that you can beat her. There's just it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
And I think she would be good for that, but I don't see myself making like an entire campaign or even a long session of her, because the thing is, she's very much all right, we know she's in this territory, but the moment you see her, you better figure out what the fuck you're going to do, because she got you locked.
Yeah, I think it would be good for like a one shot,
Mhm.
if you were to make this into a character, like a game of some kind, or like a scenario.
Mhm.
I kind of think I kind of like the idea of her being like kind of like a new wave slasher flick sort of thing, like
Mhm.
kind of again like taking, because she is kind of a slasher. I mean, she's literally, by her definition of what she does, she's a slasher.
Yes.
But like, yeah, I think it'd be it's a new take on the slasher, because it's not just like this criminal, like the serial killer, or this like deranged male slasher. It's a female character that you can what we talked about earlier, where we can get a setup where it's kind of like the La Llorona, as well, like where like there might be a way to it might just be like it's a tragic character as well.
Mhm.
And that's how you are able to, like, how the last survivors are able to survive, is to figure out like how to come to terms with what's going on.
Will you allow me one last idea of whatever thing?
Sure.
So we talked about this before when we were off mic. But in the Yokai cinematic universe, There are it's what I'm going to keep calling it. There are times when spirits merge, and they have both powers. So, like for example, in the spirit of the Grudge and the Ring merge at one point,
No.
which creates a whole other problem. But imagine if she merged with which one's the one that's the Ring is the one with the movie, right? You watch it and you die in 7 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Sadako or
Sadako.
Samara, depending
So
on, again, American or Japanese.
So imagine if she absorbs Sadako's powers, and now you have her on a DVD tape or a online movie or video on
Her
YouTube. Or whatever.
YouTube channel,
Yeah,
like a YouTube
and
video.
you watch it, and it's an interactive whatever. But if you don't say anything, she comes out of the TV.
Oh yeah, like, or it's, oh god, it's like an itch.io. Like it's like she gets trapped in a game. Like, again, to borrow from the Stay Alive premise.
Yeah.
She gets trapped into like an indie game on itch.io, and it's just kind of like again, it's like we're playing on the cursed video game situations. Like there's a ghost, literally a ghost in the machine. And yeah, that's how she's now spreading. Like, it's no, like, again, we're no longer in Japan now. She's like gone onto the World Wide Web through through shareware.
Yeah.
She's in a VR game. Can't you see somebody playing a VR game and then their lips get slit?
Yeah.
Or they take off their VR gear and she's still there standing in front of you.
Yeah, like, because that would also, like, the opening to that scenario would be like, you're investigating the death of this person, and like, all right, well, what happened? And well, they were found by their roommate, dead on the ground in the middle of their living room with their VR set and all that open. Weirdest thing though, it seems like they died from like intense like heart failure, as well as or from a fatal stabbing while they were still playing a game. Like, they didn't even see it coming, maybe, or something. And also, when they lift off the helmet again, they also have the slit mouth.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, what the hell? And it's like, because those things are usually pretty cumbersome, at least the ones I remember.
Mhm.
So like, how did somebody cleanly cut that the ear to ear?
Well, sorry.
On top of being stabbed again, they didn't notice this thing being stabbed, and like, the weird thing was, like, there's no point of entry or anything like that. Like, we can't find any sort of way of like how this person got in here and did this. And then you start following a trail of those maybe killings, and then you discover that it's like a shareware again, because I think there's a bunch of like games that you can get for free on VR and stuff, right?
Yeah, there's tons
So
of like, little goofy things. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and yeah, just basically an indie VR game that somebody has cursed with the Kuchisake-Onna.
Well, don't forget that just because you say both times does not mean you die. You could also have survivors of her attacks with the Glasgow smile cut that are like, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about the traumatization of being slit open and living.
Yeah, that would be your witnesses that you like. Okay, well, we found some people that have played this game, like, according to like the files on like the download files and whatnot on the website. And yeah, and also, oh god, you can also have like people, like maybe some streamer is playing, because there's like, again, like Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, all those guys online all play VR games, and they're always horror games that they try to play because that's what people like to watch nowadays. So yeah, you have like one of those like YouTube streamers or like YouTube video like Let's Players playing this hot new indie title for VR, and then they die on.
That's the Delta Green game right there. That's very similar to if you took I remember I took Doki Dochi Literature Club and I turned that into a King in Yellow play.
Oh, that would work really well. Yeah.
I like the idea that you follow it back to the source. Like you follow the game creators back to the source, and it turns out it's a Glasgow, like it's a survivor, but he has
Mhm.
fallen in love with Kuchisake-Onna. So
So he's become a cultist, effectively.
cultist of Kuchisake-Onna. And he has managed to like, I can bring you to everyone, and everyone can learn your greatness, or blah 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 blah. Because there would be people who would do that. There would be people who'd be really into her, because we're in a world of 8 billion people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
Uh,
That would also be a good creepypasta story of a survivor trying to re-find Kuchisake-Onna.
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I think that would actually be like that would be like a good human element, I think, for a scenario. Especially given again, like the fanboys, or not fanboys, but fandom, specifically for like these creepy these supernatural creepypasta icons, or like urban legend icons. Like again, you sent earlier a picture of some fan art of Kuchisake-Onna hanging out with Hachishaku-sama, and it's like, yeah, there a lot of people like find them like cute as well as creepy. So
Check out Nightmare Fuel. I put more picture
oh god,
picture in there for you.
yeah. No, I looked at that. That's what I'm referencing in the Nightmare Fuel. But yeah, so I think we've got a fair amount here that we've covered, from like the history of it to sort of a zigzaggy discussion on like how to implement Kuchisake-Onna for a creepypasta, or like for a game scenario kind of thing.
A big thing just for me would be just if you're gonna take anything from this, it's if you're gonna use her in a game, I would use her as like a side character that sort of keeps popping up around areas, or a one shot
Yeah.
monster of the week kind of thing. Like especially if you are going to put her in a campaign that has already been running, definitely use her as either a element of, this is a no-go zone, you don't go here, otherwise you will die. Or use her as a monster of the week.
Yeah, as a one shot kind of game, or like I said, use her as like kind of as a consequence to going to a certain location.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
this is her territory. Don't go there.
I could easily imagine you are running from like a big bad or a monster, or you're running from something that is too much for you, and you take the nuclear option and you go into her territory.
So the Freddy versus Jason situation, where all the kids are being attacked by Freddy, they got to stay awake. So they decide, and because one of the characters was a survivor of Camp Crystal Lake, they decide to go to Camp Crystal Lake and wake the beast, i.e., Jason Voorhees, to fight Freddy.
Or the grunge ring scenario where they accidentally go into the grudge house and they know they're fucked. So what they do? So what do they do as a nuclear option? They play the ring tape in the grunge house.
Just double down.
Yeah, it works kind of. Like one of them survives.
I'll have to check that out at some point.
It has a great soundtrack. I'll let me find the YouTube video. I'll send it to you.
Okay, yeah. But Adam, do you have anything else to?
No, I was just basking your all's glory. I mean,
thanks.
Y'all do great. I mean, I have nothing else to add on this. It's been entertaining listening.
Yeah. It's a very natural kind of like discourse on this episode.
If there's anything that we should do, I would really love to do a follow-up episode on the yokai cinematic universe.
Oh yeah, like we could definitely do an al dente real talk where we discuss a like a movie, or like discuss like maybe some of the movies or something like that. Because like creepypastas and urban legends kind of go hand in hand, and Japan does have a very healthy. It's from what I've gathered, according to our episode's demographics, or like our download demographics and such. Is demographic the word for like when it's in another country, or for like countries and stuff like that?
People who listen.
Yeah, people. Yeah, based on our listenership and our downloads and stuff like that, it sounds like it seems like we have a and from what I've gathered on Twitter, like looking for like creepypasta stuff and like seeing on Twitter, it does seem like Japan has a very healthy fan base for creepypastas. So
Hey, if there are any Japan fans out there, please hit us up and let us know any other creepy legends that we could talk about. Or I
absolutely, if
can
there
talk about.
heck,
I
if
love Japan urban legends. I do.
yeah,
I'm
and also
really
like if there's like this is also a thing like if there's any creepypastas out there that you've heard that are solely from like Japan or like they haven't really like left Japan or haven't gotten a lot of wide like global kind of spread, by all means like leave us like let us know and I will find a way to translate it and then we'll go over it. Sorry,
does
Adam, you were saying?
does al dente real talk, is that just like where you walk in a room and you flip the chair around and sit in it backwards and start laying down the facts to us?
That's
Is it
the intro. So it's like, yeah, Al Dente Real Talk is our Patreon episode, a Patreon specific episode where we discuss films that are either an inspiration to creepypastas or like adaptations of creepypastas or are or that we think would work as part of or kind of fit the vibe of creepypasta. And I usually open as like, all right, guys, real talk, Al Dente Real Talk, and then I do like the title of the movie, and then it's like, what do you guys think? Like
Oh my God.
that's how I open that's how I open it up.
I
And
would.
it's
I
Al
would.
Dente Real Talk as in REELTALK.
Like I
So
was just joking around, but I hit the nail on the head. Where
oh, you absolutely did. Yeah,
Yeah, you did.
yeah, because yeah.
Sorry. I just. I. Damn it! Now I just want to talk about the cinematic universe.
Yeah, I'll watch some horror movies with you guys and talk about them. It's more content for our Patreon.
One of my favorite ones is the Pen Ghost versus Sadako, where it's just like the pen Ghost is the best because it's like, all right, I want these people dead. What happens when they're dead? Oh, she gets her body. Fucking
Oh,
thanks, wonderful. And again, she's the nuclear option, but the oh my god, it's just
okay. We'll
sorry again.
yeah,
Great thing.
yeah. No, we'll definitely we'll talk about it after recording and like see what kind of things we can do for that. But yeah, I think that's the only other thing I kind of had for an idea. I kind of jump back from like the Night's Black Agents idea. And again, this might just be stealing a little bit from Ross Payton's Night's Black Agents campaign, Tribes of Tokyo, over at Roleplay Public Radio, which is a really great campaign, by the way. You should go check it out. I think all of us agree.
Oh yeah,
man, yeah, it's so good.
To basically start like how like the game is basically your security, like you're part of a security firm, working for some big company, like some VIPs or some CEOs in either Japan or if you want to make it a little bit more like more kind of westernized, have it be in a city that is sort of a melting pot of different like of different immigrations, such as like for Canada, it would be my choice would be either Toronto or Vancouver because they have such a high demographic from Asia. And yeah, you could have them basically be like maybe the VIP that you guys are charged with, or the CEO has fucked up or fucked around and gained the ire of like maybe on his way between like places he met the Kuchisake-Onna in Little Japan or in Little Tokyo, on like on a business venture or something, and like said what no and then again like refuted it, and then we have the thing that we said earlier in this discussion where it doesn't kill you instantly, it waits. And so when he goes back up to his suite to like for the night, you're all his security detail, and there's a commotion. You guys go in, you find that he's been killed in a very strange way with a slit mouth and stuff. And now you guys need to figure out what the hell's going on.
Or you'll be framed, or you'll be blamed for his death.
Exactly.
I love that idea. I love the idea of anytime doing something in Japan, you involve business stuff, because business in Japan is so cutthroat and so secretive, which I mean, I guess it technically
sorry, but
America,
cutthroat.
but
sorry.
But it involves a lot of, we have to keep this within the company, we can't let it get out, which I guess technically is most businesses, but it just strikes me in Japan a lot more.
Yeah. Well, it's maybe glorified a little bit more in like fiction and in media, like even from Japan, about like their business end and such.
We know it's cutthroat, but we're just not going to change it. But we will make movies about it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be my like my suggestion for like a Night's Black Agents game, is that your characters are a security firm and your client has been killed by a supernatural entity, i.e. the Kuchisake-Onna.
Would be great. Well, I love the idea.
Or even better, you're a security firm, like you guys have gotten like a big paycheck, so you guys all go out down to like a local bar, and one of your friends, like one of your teammates, or like your guys like are a tight knit like sort of security firm, one of them goes like out to like gets drunk, goes out to the back alley to take a piss, never comes back. You guys go to check on him, he's dead by the carvings and stuff like that out in the alleyway, and then it's like, what the fuck? And then it's kind of got like a vendetta sort of situation against the Kuchisake-Onna.
You could honestly have it that you could do two ways about that too. You could easily have it that you all encounter her while running away from vampires, so you all get hit by the curse at the exact same time.
So again, going back to the crossover thing, like again, the nuclear option.
Well,
an accidental stumbling in on it.
I mean, like, yeah, or like, you are all walking down an alleyway or whatever, like you all get hit by it. Like, so she starts going after you one by one or whatever. Because who says it has to be at one at a time?
Could you imagine? Yeah, so she comes out of the shadows as you guys are all like going down the alleyway to like as a shortcut, and she asks that question, and you guys all like kind of like the characters all unanimously like say something, or like some of you say different things, and as a result, like she just like you guys all just like blink, and like some of you are scarred, some of you are dead, and then you're just running.
Hold on. What are you doing? I'm rolling damage.
Yeah. Okay, you're dead. You've got horrible scars on your cheeks.
Yeah. I like the idea also of what if she did that to a vampire and the vampires hired you to investigate?
Yeah, there's there it is. Yeah, like
I understand there's the crossover thing, but like instead of taking the nuclear option of we're going to run down the alleyway and hope Kuchisake-Onna goes after him instead of us, it's no, this vampire like fed on some dude in an alleyway, was going to walk back, all of a sudden encountered Kuchisake-Onna, got murdered by a ghost, and
came
now the
back or regenerated.
Yeah, and it's
now
like
it's like a sorry.
No, yeah, it's a fucking vendetta. I was like, who's this bitch that stabbed me?
Yeah, and again, playing on like sort of the criminal element, maybe because like that's like where what the vampires like in charge of, like they've got like a gang going, like a sort of a sweet deal going on with these humans, and it's like, yo, like basically it just goes like full on. It's like, yeah, let's. I want you guys to deal with this character. Last I saw her, she was this way. Look for her, hunt her down. Like again, a supernatural on supernatural vendetta sort of thing, like a turf war, if you will, to a degree.
Or imagine she actually does, like she punches, like she stabs out the vampire's heart. Now he's dead. Okay, now this ghost is going around murdering vampires. Can't have that. Gotta hire some humans to take care of this shit.
Okay, so like so we got like if you're gonna do this, I guess in World of Darkness with like Vampire the Masquerade, like the Camarilla are just like not gonna have any of this.
I am kind of on a side. It's like just a fun gay game writing a court of Tokyo because it's fun.
Yeah.
But
actually, I think that would be interesting to play that, like play the Camarilla, like that whole setup, but with Night's Black Agents, because again, you're just using, because I just love the idea of human lackey of like the whole like human spec ops team working for a vampire.
That's what I was thinking. It was like, gotta hire some humans to handle this shit. I ain't got time for this. I gotta count my blood money.
Yeah, no, I've loved that idea since actually the Underworld movies, because in the Underworld movies they straight up have just like human lackeys who are working for the immortal.
Sorry, I wanted to say one last thing, like one less silly thing for Kuchisake-Onna. If you really also want to go like full hammy, do the tragic backstory, but like instead like make it a little lighter or just as dark, however you want to go. Make her a Yoma from A Magical Girl.
Oh, fuck.
thing. And
we're now playing that game that what is that game? Magical Fury.
Or you could go very silly and make it. I know it's hard to make it silly with a tragic backstory like hers, but I've seen plenty of cartoons do that before. You could just go full Sailor Moon with it too.
Yeah.
Or however, yeah, turn her into a Yoma and go like your magic. It's like, girls, what? Another Negaforce monster has appeared from Gehenna. We must defeat her.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, basically that. If you want to go that silly, or on the silly horror side of things, yes.
Yeah, make it do a little bit of a comedic horror, or just like that kind of thing, where you could use her as a Yoma for a magical girl game.
All right, so I think we've extinguished or I think we've used up as much ingredients as we can for this.
It was called for nice and spicy.
Yeah. I think we've used all the sushi. The fish is all over. The fish has all been used up, and all the rice. There's no more rice in the bowl. So
I loved the Kuchisake-Onna fight character. That was a great character.
I guess that's the end of this, or that's been this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and have gotten some ideas if you are of a creative mind for like creating stories, or even like if you're a tabletop RPG enthusiast like us. Maybe you've gotten some ideas from this mad ramblings that we've all had here. Very, very much like a cultist and a weave. So Adam and Ian, where can they find you? Where can the nice people find you?
Oh, I'll go ahead and take the lead and end you back clean up here for us, buddy. Okay, so Ian and I both play on a podcast called Roleplaying Exchange, and you can find us at www.roleplayingexchange.com. We also have a Facebook page that I'll update when I remember, and it is facebook.com/theroleplayingexchange. And the best way to probably get a hold of us is also on Twitter. We are RP Exchange, so at RP Exchange. Ian, any way that everybody can get a hold of you?
Yes, I'm also on Twitter, but best way to get a hold of me is also through Roleplaying Exchange on Twitter. But I also do various games because I'm a podcast mercenary for Technical Difficulties, which is, I believe, www.technicaldifficultiespodcast.com. They're also another gaming podcast that I also run for. Other than that, I'm not really around, so I apologize to the listeners who want to talk to me.
I'm just hearing his voice because he just admitted that he's cheating on me with another podcast now, and I mean, I'm just.
I have already cheated on you many times, RPX. It's perfectly fine.
All right.
All right, get your sword out, Adam. You're gonna get your cyber sword out. You're going to create a new Kuchisake-Onna.
Hey, there's your new thing, Cyberpunk 2020, Kuchisake-Onna. Woo!
I mean, I could definitely run a Kuchisake-Onna game in Shadowrun.
Quick, he's going to say nuclear option again. You got to exit this podcast.
yeah. All right, yeah. So, if you do have any questions for Ian as well from the creepypasta side of things, or like, again, if there's any Japanese listeners out there that have some Japanese creepypastas that haven't really left the island, by all means, I would love to hear about them as well. And you can send those emails to aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, yokai, cryptids, SCPs, all that kind of beautiful horror juiciness that's on the internet. Just send it our way, and I'll add it to the list, and we'll eventually get around to doing an episode of it to talk about it and how we can make it a creepypasta, or how we can make it a game, or just talk about the creepypasta itself that we read. And I get, you guys can also get a hold of me at Review Cultist on Twitter. If you'd like to help support our show, you can go to Al Dente Rigamortis at Patreon and look up the backer tiers we have. We have $2 and $5 tier currently with special episodes, extra content, and early access. For our listeners that are helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners, thank you immensely for staying with us and listening to our mad ramblings. It's very much appreciated. Guys, I believe RPX does have a Patreon too. Would you like to advertise that, Adam?
Yeah, please give me money. I like money. And I use it to buy stuff for the podcast. So, you can find us on patreon.com/roleplaying exchange. And basically any contribution that we get just goes back into the podcast. Nobody makes any money off this. We just buy games and pay hosting bills. And that's about it. So if you'd like to continue this, help enable this crippling addiction, please come on over to our Patreon and throw a few bones our way.
Yes, the best addiction. Role-playing games. So, if there's nothing else to be said, that has been this week's episode, and I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm the nuclear option.
And I'm the weeb.
And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
Boom.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, I'm a smart ass, guys.
I just like it's like because I just realized you're the nuclear option because you're an atom bomb. and the only reason that came into my head was because of the podcast at Ground Zero where Adam Scott Glancy is Atom Bomb Glancy.
Oh god.